Buzz Diaz looked over the edge. Straight down from where he stood, at the bottom of a 100-foot cliff, ocean waves lapped at the rocky shoreline of Nowhere Island. "We're going to have to climb down," Carter said. "Tell me you're joking," Buzz shouted. The gusting wind forced them to yell, even though they were standing close together. "I'm not joking." "But this could kill us." "So could staying up here," Jane chimed in. "Yeah," Carter agreed, "just a lot more slowly." Buzz could barely believe they were even having this conversation. The face of the wall they would have to descend was a straight drop. There were only a few places to stand and even fewer to hold on to. One slip and it was over. Nobody could survive that kind of a fall. 10 minutes ago, they'd been this close to getting rescued. He, Carter, and Jane had screamed and waved like crazy as the plane passed over their little island. Buzz's own screams echoed in his head now. "Stop! Stop! Help! Please!" But none of it had done them any good. The plane was gone. So was the tree bridge they'd crossed to get up here in the first place. It had fallen straight down into the ravine on the opposite side of Lookout Point and had nearly taken Buzz with it. He was lucky to be alive. But Buzz wasn't feeling so lucky right now. His stomach swooped every time he looked down the cliff face or out toward the endless Pacific Ocean that stretched away from the island. It was like looking at infinity from here. "Are we sure this is the better way down?" he asked. It wasn't a real question. They'd been back and forth across Lookout Point a dozen times. As scary as it would be scaling the ocean-facing cliffs, every other option was even worse. At least on this side, the rock was stepped in a series of plateaus and ledges as far down as Buzz could see. "I say we go for it," Carter announced. He nodded to Jane, the youngest of the group. "You ready?" he asked. "I'm ready," she replied. Easy for them to say, Buzz thought. Carter was a total jock, and Jane had already proven herself to be a natural climber here on the island. Not Buzz. He was a natural couch potato, as much as anything else. But none of that meant anything for him anymore. The only real question now was whether he'd rather die from falling 100 feet or from starving to death on this barren tower of rock. "Yeah, okay," he said, barely believing the words as they came out of his own mouth. "Let's get this over with." Carter could see how scared Jane and Buzz were. He was scared too, out of his mind. But so what? It didn't change what they had to do. "I'll go first," he said, and sat himself on the edge of the cliff. He got no argument from the other two. Carter was the strongest. That was just a fact. If a week on Nowhere Island had taught them nothing else, it was how to face up to hard, cold facts. It seemed like forever ago that their boat had crashed onto the shore, stranding them here. The storm responsible had also separated them from Uncle Dexter and his first mate on the Lucky Star, Joe Kahali. Whether those two were still out there in the South Pacific somewhere was impossible to know. Carter had been the last to see them, just before the waves and high winds tore their life raft away from the Lucky Star, and they disappeared into the night. Ever since that moment, it had been up to the kids to figure everything out for themselves. How to make fire and shelter, how to find food and water, how to survive. Carter looked down the cliff face. The next nearest ledge was maybe 7 feet below him, a few feet more than his own body length. He and Buzz were the same age, 11, but Carter was taller. For Buzz, and especially Jane, who was tiny for a 9-year-old, the drop would feel even farther. As he started to inch himself off the edge, Jane